Sinibingelele sinamukele kulesi siqephu se-Expressions khona la kunqa phambili SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Mina igama lami ngo-Azaria wakwaKhoza. Mbukeli namuhla sikhuluma ngesihloko esingemnandi neze. We are of course talking about human trafficking and missing persons right here in South Africa. Now there are hundreds of missing people listed on the database of missing persons in South Africa, which means kunemindeni eminingi out there enezihlobo ezedukile futhi ezingakatholakali kuze kube manje Kholosa.
Ebuhlungu kakhulu wena Azaria nawe mbukeli apha ekhaya. Well, ndimlo Kholosa Kalubisi uMadlongoti. It is estimated that there are millions of victims, though only about 50 to 100 cases are found each year. Bugeli, the University of Johannesburg reports that trafficking occurs at a slightly higher rate when Azaria for girls than boys, with 55.5% of all trafficked people in South Africa being female and 44.5% kutwa ngabantu besilisa.
Shocking statistics, Kholosa. Mbukeli, I visited a family in Katlehong ebebalahlekelwe yindodana yabo, and this is what occurred.
Mayifika emsebenzini ngathi ucelile ukuthi ucela ukushayisa akazizwa kahle uyolanda medication. Uma ifika la endlini ngathi uphumile waya kubangayo abangoba kwakubanda imandi yakho wona abangani bamletha. Uma ingena endlini lapha ngabo 8:30 or 2:08 ngathi ugogo emenzela ukudla ukuthi uyamhambisela lapha eroomini mayetha kunamuntu ugogo uhambe umchecka kulabafana bethi hayi labafana laba hayi lo muntu simlethile since simlethile.
Thina umzamo esiwenzile sambe zonke ibhedlela Jerem Korana BPH Jimistin Hospital amamoshari sibhedlela saseTlibek saya ngisho emajele oBoxburg namamoshari siphinde sawadablisha koJoburg simbheka lo mntwana asimtholi ngisho nasemamoshari akukho la isimthola khona. Ngibheka nangapha konyawo ubheka uJozi ukuthi phela umntwana yazi ungenabangani ngeke umazi wahanje wayoreport ngoLesibili ekseni ubaba omkhulu wakhe uTheko ayovula icase kodwa sithe sathola isimanga ukuthi awu iphoyisa CID liphethe icase libuye livini shothi icase beyilokhu ihleli second esikhona nokuyenza sikhona nokudla ungeka sikhona ngisho nokulala ngoba sikwazi ukuthi
Okungekuhle ke mbukeli ukuthi Theko's body was found a few days ago just after we finished filming that insert. His body was found in a river in Zonkizizwe eKatlehong. Siyithimba le-Expressions, we would like to send our deepest condolences to the Mchunu family. I'm now joined by Amy Arnold, who's an investigator at Unchain Our Children. Amy, welcome to Expressions. Today we are starting the show on a very somber mode. You know, Theko was unfortunately found deceased. Are such cases in South Africa prevalent?
Yes, unfortunately, that is a common ending to a tragic story with the missing people. Missing people go missing for a wide variety of reasons. Sometimes a few people want to go missing. If they're in an abusive relationship or something, they may need to get out and kind of find a new life. Some people, it's by circumstance. Maybe it's a drug addiction or a mental illness, or elderly people sometimes have dementia and they're missing. And then other people are for more nefarious reasons, such as kidnapping and trafficking.
Wow. Okay, speaking of trafficking, there are different forms of trafficking. There's labor trafficking, sex trafficking. Which one is much more prominent in South Africa?
So trafficking always ends in exploitation, but you can be exploited and not trafficked. So statistics specifically for South Africa are pretty hard to come by. However, the United Nations has grouped the world into regions, and for Southern Africa, I can speak to that. Southern Africa, about 48% is for sex trafficking, about 43% for labor, and then you have other. It can be organ removal, illegal adoption, forced marriage, and forced begging.
So in South Africa, we have a lot of social ills. I mean, there's poverty, unemployment. There are a lot of things that are happening. But what are some of the main social ills that contribute to people, being trafficked?
Yes, I think the main three social ills are going to be unemployment, crime, and corruption. Unemployment, we have the highest unemployment rate of any other country in the world. Traffickers use false promises of unemployment, education, and a relationship to lure people in. That is most often. So with the unemployment rate, we're giving them a very large pool of targets. With crime, South Africa often sits at the top of the crime index. We have one of the highest rates of rape of any other country in the world. And with corruption, we all obviously have, I think we all know this, unfortunately, we have officials that are directly involved in trafficking and organized crime. But it's also a waterfall effect, corruption, with it leads to lack of accountability, lack of teaching people underneath you how to deal with crimes. I don't think most government officials are corrupt. I think most government officials have not learned and been equipped because of corruption.
Yeah, all right. So according to the statistics, like 38% of people that are trafficked are men. We know very well that with labor trafficking, men are prone to be providers, which makes them to be vulnerable to being, trafficked. Is this prevalent in South Africa?
Yes, vulnerabilities are what's going to be exploited, and that's the end of trafficking. So the biggest vulnerability people are going to go after are poverty, instability of income, and housing. So that's who they're going to target. But men can also be used for sex trafficking. Women can be used for labor. You got domestic. You've got it's a really widespread. And another statistic is about 60% in Southern Africa. About 60% of the victims are under 18.
Wow. And I understand that you work a lot with, trying to bring people home alive as an investigator. I just want to know that you work on a private sector. Now, when it comes to you working hand in hand with the police, are they assisting you?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a previous law enforcement in the United States for 14 years. Unchain Our Children has other former law enforcement officials working with us. So we are definitely going to follow the policy and the law, and we find the right police officials to go to and the right government officials, work with them, build the case. And then also we train law enforcement and train government officials, teaching them law, just empowering the people who are in power.
Okay, so social media, plays a huge role in helping us to find missing people, because with cases like Teko as well, we shared his pictures on social media. Even people that don't know him or haven't seen him in person, but they were able to share his pictures so that we could be able to find him. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Now, social media plays a huge role in our community, but it also opens a portal for people to be exposed and to be vulnerable to being trafficked. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. The online trafficking and online grooming that is happening, I mean, the entire globe is online. And what we're doing, unfortunately, is we're letting out our emotional vulnerabilities. Even people who are maybe not in the vulnerable group of low income, we're just expressing ourselves a little too much, I think, in social media. We're telling everybody how we're feeling. And people are picking up on that, and they can use that to target.
Okay, so I also just want us to speak about the new rule, which says now there's no waiting period to report a missing person. A sigh of relief, because I can imagine that if you wait 24 hours to report a person missing, a person can be in Canada in less than 24 hours. They can be in Tokyo, in Japan, in Australia. So do you think that the new rule will be beneficial in helping us to find missing persons in South Africa?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's actually been a rule for a while. It's been a big myth. And I wanted to let your audience know that if anybody gets turned away, because some police stations are still turning people away, saying there's 24 hours, that is absolutely not true. Please contact Unchain Our Children and we will assist you. But the first 3 hours after someone goes missing is the most crucial. So it is important to get social media out there, get their picture out there, and start circulating.
Yeah. Okay, so fine. If my cousin or my sister or my brother is missing and I'm headed to the police station right now, what should I bring with me?
You should bring a photo. You should have
A recent photo. That would help.
a recent photo, yes.
Yes, yeah.
We know people's hairs change, they age. A recent photo, and try to get a timeline in order, phone numbers, contact numbers, any places where they like to visit, friends, affiliates. So it's also important for parents and other family members to be involved in everyone's lives,
Yeah.
so that you know this information.
Yeah. All right. Hayi-ke mbukeli hlala la ukhona onganyakazi kwamanje sisathi qhu ey'tolo. This is Expressions right here on SABC 1.
Welcome back, Mbugeli. You are still watching Expressions. We are, of course, still talking about missing persons and human trafficking in South Africa. Poverty and lack of alternative employment and income earning opportunities are one of the main reasons why people get abducted in South Africa. According to Missing Children South Africa, 77% of children are found, but sadly leaves 23% of children who are either never found deceased, or trafficked. But one person that made it out alive from a terrifying abduction is Prosperity, and she joins us in studio right now. Prosperity, thank you so much for coming through. Welcome to Expressions.
Thank you so much for having me here.
And I mean, you relate so much to this topic because it's something that happened to you. I'm sure you look back at this experience and you say, thank God I made it out alive. Can you just, go back to what really happened?
Okay, it was a sunny day, very beautiful day. I was excited to go to work, and normally I would just take a taxi going to work. So I stood at the bus station, and here's a taxi that came, and I said to them, I'm going to Linwood, and they were like, yeah, we're going to Linwood as well. And we had a normal conversation in the car, in the taxi. We were talking to each other. Everything was fine. All of a sudden, the guy that was sitting at the front took out a gun and jumped on top of me. And he started strangling me and beating me up and demanding money and my phone. And at that time, it was complicated. I didn't know what was going on, and I peed on myself. It was so bad.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and then we drove. The only thing that I could see was trees. And this guy, as he was strangling me, he was saying, we're gonna rape you, we're gonna rape you, we're gonna rape you. The entire time, those are the words that I kept on hearing. And I was like, I'm gonna die today. But I was ready to die in any case, because what was going on in my mind, I was holding on to the scripture that says, fear not, for I'm with you. And I knew that I wasn't gonna die, or these people are just gonna not kill me today. And I am grateful that I'm here today. It wasn't a good experience. It took me time to even be in a taxi again.
And I mean, not many bayazifumana kule meko yakho apho they're gonna make it alive. But by the grace of God, I mean, you made it out alive. How did you manage to escape? And I mean, did you report the case to the police?
I did. So how I managed to escape was I was singing and I was praying the entire time, and I was doing this out loud. And they got so irritated, and they said, please throw this child out of my taxi. And they threw me out. It was a bush. There were no houses that were close. I had to walk. It was only when I got out that it sinked in what happened. And I walked, and I remember I went to this guy's house. He was driving a Ford. And then I went in and I'm like, I need help. Please help me. And he took me to the police station. Unfortunately, the police couldn't help me, because they were like, the incident happened in Hatfield, so I need to go back to Hatfield to open a case. This was in Montana. So the guys drove with me from Hatfield to Montana. Yes.
So no justice was served?
No justice was served.
Till this day?
Till this day. The police came, they did the sketches, I described the people, and then the following day, my case was dismissed.
Into ethi, after that incident, baqhubekile babulala omnye ongasevevanga. This is truly sad, Mbukeli. Well, simcelile apha ekhaya into yokubana nani ninxibelelane nathi. We're going to read some of your comments coming from social media because, I mean, we have one coming from Malesh Mukwena. Malesh says, this is very touching. And this thing of kidnapping is getting too serious. We lose our loved ones every day and the police are not doing much. Just what you said, Wena Prosperity. Let's move on to the next comments and see what Apo Ekaya Nitini. Ntabi says, as a country, we are under attack. Why is it that every day more than 2 people are missing? And there could be more that are not shared on social media, especially those who get abducted in rural areas. Quite true, Wena Ntabi, because, I mean, not every case makes it on social media. Let's move to the next comment. Sive Yenupefumle Watini. Tabang Mulifa Uti, this is sad. So many unanswered questions. How do they abduct them? Where do they take them? Why kill them? We are even scared to go to the shops now. Let's see if we have another comment. Okay, says all right. Baphefumlile ababukeli be expressions, and I'm sure, I mean, by just reflecting on the comments, you highly resonate because it looks like our justice system is not doing enough. I mean, you going to report the matter on the police and nothing is done, it says a lot about our justice system. And you did mention, Uguti, this happened last year in August. It's a year later. I mean, any long-term effects that you are somehow feeling? How has this affected you? Where are you now emotionally, mentally?
Emotionally, I am fine. But what I do now, before getting into a taxi, I take a number plate and I send my live location so that the people can track me, where I am and how far the taxi is going. So that's what I've been doing. But I did struggle. It took me a while to get back into the taxi or to start using a taxi. So, yeah.
Like I said, when our Prosperity, we have so many young girls. Kuna namhlanje sabafuna, the likes of Oyanda Tabete. She was just a baby girl. It's almost 4 years now, usafunwa. I mean, what message of hope would you like to convey to families abathi sakhangela abantwana bethu, either it's a girl or a boy child? Because, I mean, your story is one of a hope. Because, I mean, with your story, you survived. What message would you like to convey to families?
I would like to say to families, don't give up. Keep on searching, keep on trusting the Lord in the searching of the people that you are looking for. And yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through and sharing your story. We truly admire your strength and resilience. And we really hope that families ezifuna abantwana babo kuba kubhlungu kakhulu umntwana uphumile mhlambe waye esikolweni waye emsebenzini kuna namhlanje nisamfuna ningalahli ithemba. Let's continue to raise awareness. And remember, Mbukeli, ubangaba nawe uyachaphazeleka, to make sure that you are in touch with organizations ezinceda abantwana balahlekileyo. For now, masiqhwe evenkeleni sibhatala amatyala qiniseka. We continue with the discussion.
This is regarded as a free country. So what we can do is watch out for ourselves.
And unemployment is one of the biggest causes of human trafficking here in South Africa, because staying at home, being unemployed, not having a job is not an easy thing. So the minute you apply for a job and you get promised an interview, you don't even care the location that you're going to, as long as you know that there is a possibility of you finding a job.
Sekunzima ngokuzikhusela apha eSouth Africa because noba ungathemba amapolisa asebenzisana kwa nabo abantu abathatha abantu.
The best way to protect yourself is to take precautions. Go online, check that company, check their ratings, check what people are saying about it.
Singamantombazana, sometimes kufuneka sike siyeke ukuthatha izinto. West thina silulutsha because yazithanda izinto.
Into endifuna ukuthi thina silulutsha longoku ayishela. Umjivo kumele sehlisele.
Ikunto emahala emhlabeni noba ngisho umuntu ongenza utshwala for mahala. Kufanele uyazi lonto uba ayikho into emahala, ikhona indlela ezobhadala ngayo.
Maybe the South African government can invest more into the police resources to combat crime here in South Africa, because I feel like police, they are not doing enough in terms of missing people.
nyhani indaba yamapolisa ibuhlungu kakhulu because sithembe bona but bona into abayenzayo abawenzi umsebenzi wabo.
Everyone should stay safe. Everyone should have their locations on. Never go anywhere alone.
At this point, it's like we have to protect ourselves and have to make means to find ourselves a bit of protection.
Interesting views coming from emgwaqeni yaseGoli, with young people giving us safety precautions on how we can stay safe. Siphinde sikwamukele mbukeli osabukele expressions khona la ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. And of course, Amy Arnold is still seated right here with me. We're still talking about missing persons in South Africa and human trafficking. Before we went to the ad break, Colosa and Prosperity on the other side, they spoke about the traumatic experience that some of the families go through,
Absolutely.
you know, when they are looking for their loved ones. Can you just take us through the traumatic experience that, you know, the families experience?
Yeah, there's just a lot of questions they have. I love what Prosperity said about encouraging everyone just to have hope and to keep looking. And unfortunately, just like with her case, only about 3.5% of cases make it to prosecution when it comes to trafficking in this country. So there is just a big lack of understanding and training, I think, in the government that we need to fulfill.
So you work with Unchain Our Children, and you work a lot with trying to bring people home alive. Yes. Can you share some of the success stories that you have from your organization?
Sure. I can't go into super detail a lot. We have several cases in high court right now, but it is very often that we deal with illegal adoptions, and that's baby trafficking, and intervening before a baby gets sold. We see that. I've had a great, one of my favorite successes. I had 2 women and a boy. We got out of a trafficking situation. It actually involved a cult. But what I love about their success story is often people go home and I don't get to communicate, but I'm in communication with them and they're doing really well, and the boy is thriving. And, you know, not too long ago, we helped a South African get back from China back here safely.
Wow.
So there's lots of different examples of cases.
So speaking of cults and uktwala, which is, you know, forced marriage, you know, what are some of the signs that we can look out for, especially in public? Because we know that the fear plays a very big role when someone is being held captive. Yes. So if I'm walking at a mall and I'm seeing this girl maybe walking with an older man, and I'm suspecting that there might be something that's happening, what are some of the, you know, signs that I should look out for, especially in a social setting or in a public space?
Sure. Look for eye contact for that individual. Are they looking, do they look scared? Do they look like they're looking for help? You know, if you feel like it's safe, I say follow them for a little bit. Try to get more information. The best description you can give to police, the more success. When you go into the car park, see what kind of vehicle they get into. If it's safe and if you feel comfortable, try to gather as much information as you can.
Okay, any words of encouragement to, you know, families out there that are still looking and searching for their loved ones?
I think Prosperity said it best. Just keep the hope, keep praying, and don't give up.
Yeah. Okay, I also just want us to speak about tips, because, you know, sometimes we carry all of our bank cards with us. You know, we have our banking apps on our phones, and once you get abducted, then, you know, the criminals have access to your funds or the money that you may have in your bank accounts. Do you think that it's wise for us at this day and age to be walking around with bank cards and having apps on our phones and all that?
Well, it's pretty hard in this day and age not to have all that stuff on us. The way we live our lives, we need access to that kind of thing. If you're going into an area that's maybe not the safest or you're not used to it, I like to have a fake wallet.
Yeah.
You know, if you throw it down, maybe someone picks it up and leaves you alone.
Yeah.
Hide your valuables maybe in your sock, but just not in the obvious places in our back pockets and our front pockets where we think.
Amazing tips right there. Colosa, what a show.
What a show. But I mean, you know, I'm quite happy that we're able to amplify the voice of young people on the ground, and we're able to share tips so that abana bacha balumke. And I mean, let's continue to work together to create a safe space for our children and our young people in South Africa.
Ayike mbukeli asikushiyi wedwa, uSiphamandla Voyi is standing by on the other side.
Mlomo wam awuvumi ndithule yintoni na? Mlomo wam awuvumi ndithule yintoni na? zingagqithi iintsuku ziphele inyanga zikhatshelwe yiminyaka kodwa lomvila lokuxhilwa kwabantu abantsundu lithi gqolo ukubetha libuyelela likukhumbuze ngesiganeko besihlizolo de sibe ngathi sehle namhlanje yeyaphi ninimba kumzontsundu esasiki kusini na ithemba lichasele liqalise umnqantsa kumzontsundu wow yitheni icwaka kulizelamane le ndebe imnandanga le ndebe ayidluli yiseleni nokuba injalo kuba kaloku yenzelwe nina qubulani izagwebo makwedini nanku umshelo kungena endlini basopha mthakathi wagilwa imbokodo lawo yaphantsi iqhinga likamtyholi elabonwa ngumprofethi untsikele emdudweni elakubona kuqilazwa nenzo makhoboka yile mikhekembe yamabhulempu amahilile amatshilitshile amatshive lamatshijolo wow mandiniyeke bantwana bomgqumo mandiniyeke bantwana because hleze bafazi bale ndawo bandithakade yiloo nto ndizitela hoshi rhamba